In this tutorial, we will cover blending modes, which are located on the Layers panel, and figure out how we can use them to kind of meld different components of the scene together to create visual unity. The first thing I'd like you to do is open up the map of constellations in the tutorials folder, and we are going to kind of blend this in a variety of ways with the background, and then through using layer masks and painting black and white on those layer masks, we can really choose where we want this and where we don't. So I first want to see how large this image is. Image size, resolution, I want to change this to 300, and 9:8 is just fine. That'll put it in the ballpark of the size of our canvas over here. So I'm zooming out by hitting Control- to see this. I'm going to use my Move tool to click and drag it over here. I want to bring this map of constellations here up above everything. And I know that it kind of seems like now it's going to cover everything, but that won't be the case with blending modes. And right there, I just hit Control-T, made it larger to cover everything, and double-clicked. It's okay that this is going off the page. You can resize this as large as you like it. I'll double-click here. A simple way to kind of see the composition of this top layer with the layers underneath is just to momentarily drop the opacity. So if you kind of like what that looks like, if you like where some of the text is, that's fine. I don't really like that there was a line running through my sheet. So I'll put it over here. I'm going to bring that opacity back up for now though, because with my constellation layer selected, I want to begin going through this list here, which is called blending modes. If you're interested in kind of knowing more about what each one of these does, I have a worksheet about it that you can have. But this group darkens, this group lightens, and then these two groups do a variety of combinations of how the pixels in the top layer interact with the pixels on the bottom layer, depending on light and hue and all of that. So you can go through these and kind of choose one that you like. That one's neat. And then know too, if you like what this top layer is doing in some areas but not necessarily others, we can completely and easily fix that with a layer mask. So kind of decide where you want this to show up and what you want it to look like. And let's say I don't like it down here on the sheep and then on the surface of the moon, but I like it in the sky, we can change that. So just kind of go through these. You can click your arrow key once you have one selected, and you'll see that changing. Choose something that you find interesting. That's pretty neat. For this, I might choose screen or lighter color. Color dodge is also neat. I think I'll choose screen. And once I decide on a blending mode on this top layer, I will click to add a layer mask. I want to make sure that black is my background color. Choosing a paintbrush. Again, you can always choose different kinds of paintbrushes. If you really want to get into brush selection, you'll choose, or click rather, this little gear at the top right, and there are tons of different kinds of brushes you can use. Right now I'm just going to use that soft edged brush, but when we get more into digital painting, if you take level 2, you can really have a chance to explore all of these Photoshop brushes, if you don't want to do it independently now. Make this larger. I don't think I really want it on my world as much. Opacity of my brush, I'm going to bump it up just a little bit more to get rid of these faster. If I wanted to do it more decisively, I could have clicked I could have clicked a higher opacity here. I want to actually put my brush at about 50% here because it's a little bit soft, I think. So as you can see, I could also, if I was concerned about doing this, oops, a little bit more accurately, I could zoom in, make my brush smaller, and go around it just like that. One more control, since I'm just demoing, I'm not too concerned right now. I want my brush mode to be normal. By the way, there's blending modes up here as well, and a normal brush mode is just fine, unless you want dueling blending modes going on, but that gets a little bit complicated. Let's say I don't want these on the sheets as much. I can go in and fix that. Maybe I want it on one but not the other. You know, let's say I made a huge mistake. Once my computer's done loading, I'll make a fake mistake. And I accidentally did something like that. I can always flip these and then paint it right back on, so that non-destructive editing is important with the component of the layer mask. Maybe I want to kind of dull this line. I think it's kind of severe. So choosing subtract or take away, I'm going to drop my opacity way down, maybe like 19%, and then get a very soft brush, painting on my layer mask, never on my actual picture. Paint that hard line away just a little bit. So with blending modes and with layer masks, a lot is possible with Photoshop. You can use you can use blending modes rather for many different components of your piece. So let's say I wanted to do a little bit more with this world right here. I could choose different kinds of blending modes here. These ones completely disappear. There we go. This is not a very good example because the colors are so similar. Blending modes oftentimes have kind of more of a dramatic effect if the colors on the bottom layer and then the top layer are contrasting. So I'll just copy that to make it a little bit brighter, hit shift to highlight the two layers, right click and say merge. If you ever want to make a layer stand out a little bit more, that's a pretty good technique. So that's kind of blending modes and layer masks in a nutshell. And we will utilize these a lot more when it comes to our double exposure portraits that we will get to next, as well as its two functions that are used by designers a lot when using Photoshop.